Well, the fate of the US president has been on the line since the world witnessed that shocking performance in the first presidential debate. But we know, despite even Democrats urging him to withdraw from the race, that the demented Biden, well, he just won't back down.
I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me in the convention.
Ooh, he's getting angry. And the president then took the time to write a letter to his fellow Democrats saying, "I am firmly committed to staying in this race. I wouldn't be running again if I did not absolutely believe I was the best person to beat Donald Trump in 2024. But I suppose that is what a demented person would say, isn't it? Joining me now to discuss is the Australian's Washington correspondent, Adam Creighton. How on earth can Biden continue to justify that he is the man for the job?
Well, clearly he's extremely determined and he's doubled down massively to the point that if he does ever step down, he's going to look rather silly. But I suppose a political cynic would say that he has to say this the whole time because he can't say anything else until he finally makes the decision to leave, which I think is still what's most likely to happen. I think there's too many people have come out now and said bad things about him on his own side that it's just giving so much fodder to the Republicans for their campaign.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, Trump's saying now that it's Biden's ego that's getting in the way here. It's the only reason that he won't drop out. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that's fair. I mean, before he ran in 2020, I think Biden gave a speech saying that he'd be the bridge to the future, you know, basically implying he'd only do one term. But he's hanging on for a second term. And plus, he's already been vice president for 8 years. So I think the greedy accusation is true, is fair. But look, there's 4 months to go. The betting markets, by the way, are just terrible for him right now. 16% chance of winning in November compared to Trump's 55%. So things have certainly turned around.
Yeah, I mean, I should have put some more money on before that debate on Trump, I mean, for that matter. But when you talk about, and look, I don't want to suggest that I have looked at his medical records, because of course I haven't. But look, I think we all know that there is some kind of diagnosis going on there with Joe Biden. And of course, when you try to deal with people who have dementia or Alzheimer's and you try to tell them that no, that's wrong, you can't do that anymore, or that's not quite how it used to be, they don't take very well to it. And that's exactly what we're seeing from Biden right now.
Yes, look, that's certainly true. And sometimes it manifests itself in yelling suddenly. And actually, that's what the president did in that Morning Joe clip that you just played earlier. I mean, he periodically yelled. I mean, the host was surprised. He's done that before in speeches. He suddenly yells. But it's just been a terrible few days for him on this so-called reassurance tour that he's trying to do. I mean, he said on the 4th of July that he was the first black woman in the White House. So I mean, that wasn't great. And then he said ho 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 as if he was Santa Claus on the 4th of July to the audience. So these aren't great signs of reassurance.
Yeah, but Adam, you can't say that he's not a black woman. He might well identify as a black woman. So you can't come on this program be so bigoted, Adam. I won't stand for it.
Exactly.
While we're talking about medical diagnoses, a Parkinson's expert was recorded as visiting the White House last week, which, as you can imagine, raised a few eyebrows. But White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, she was quick to shut down any speculation.
So I am telling you that he has seen a neurologist 3 times while he has been in this presidency. That's what I'm saying. I also said to you, for security reasons, we cannot share names. We cannot share names.
Ooh, that wasn't just, look, nothing to worry about, was it?
No, she was rather angry. But as it turned out, the doctor himself, I think, later clarified that he wasn't seeing Biden in particular in all of those visits. The White House has a very large staff, something like more than 1,000. And so sometimes doctors are seeing other staff. But I think the broader point is that now the media has changed its tune on Biden. These sorts of stories are going to drop all the time, and it's just going to undermine his standing, basically every week in the lead up to the election. So that's why I think ultimately he's going to have to stand aside. It's just going to get worse and worse. And of course, for Trump, it's just been fantastic because he's basically had almost 2 weeks off playing golf and just watching the Democrats attack themselves, each other.
And that's all he could have asked for, really. I mean, to be honest, Trump just had to rock up to that debate. And given that the mics were off in particular, all he had to do was rock up and look sober and alive, and, well, that's all he really had to do in the end. Speaking of Trump, he's set to announce his VP candidate next week. The front runners are apparently North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and Senator J.D. Vance. What do you think? Who's most likely to make the cut?
Look, it's a good question. I think it's 50-50. I couldn't, choose. I think, they're quite different. I mean, Vance is 39, for instance, and Burgum is 67, I think. So quite a large age gap. Of course, Burgum's a billionaire as well, whereas Vance is a young politician. Look, their politics are broadly similar. So I think maybe that he might pick Vance. If you're going to force me to pick between those two, I'd say he'll pick Vance because it's going to set Vance up, who he rather admires, apparently, Trump. It'll set him up to run in 2028 when he'll be in his mid-40s and presumably a lot more experienced. So I think that's who I'd pick. But, Trump you can never really predict. so
indeed.
Who knows?
Indeed. You've only got 10 seconds, Adam. Should it have been a woman? Or should it be a woman?
Well, look, I think it probably should have been. And I'm a little bit surprised that it seems like it won't be. Because I think he might have got a few more votes from being a woman. But look, we can't really fault Trump. I mean, he's come back massively. So he must know what he's doing.